It won't stop. In terms of culture wars, and I don't mind having, in fact, I'm perfectly fine with it. I think most people should be okay with this. The Harrison Butker commencement address culture war fight, I don't think is all that outrageous. I'm not saying what he said isn't outrageous. I'm saying the argument isn't outrageous. It's one we should have. Especially, I would submit to you, if you're a parent, it's an argument, it's a fight we probably should have. Would it be giant news if he played for, say, the Carolina Panthers or the Arizona Cardinals? No, not so much, I don't think. The Chiefs are the most high-profile team in all of sports. They are, I said a week ago, they are America's team. They are high-profile not just because they have superstars, a few, not just because they win, they do, but because they're full of drama. It is constant drama. And it comes in every single way you could imagine. I mean, it really does. It's like the Chiefs are the gift that keeps giving in the talk show business. They're constant drama. So now, two things have come from the Harrison Butker commencement address at Benedictine College. One, and I don't think people really understand merchandise sales in pro football, but either way, it's your money. So jersey sales have shot up. He's number 7, I think, for the Chiefs. And number 2, there's a petition with 200,000 signatures to get him fired. These are, I guess, predictable things. They make it more talk show worthy. It doesn't stop, and I don't think that part's bad. So, in terms of the jersey sales, look, it's your money. Okay, it's your money. I'm not sure the people buying the shirt. I'm not sure you think you're doing it because the money is going to go to him. I don't really know if people know what they're doing when they buy the shirt. But either way, it's your money. Do with it whatever you want. But you should know the money doesn't go directly to him. Merchandise sales in pro football, and I think people are constantly confused about this, which is an interesting fight by itself because Jerry Jones, of all people, tried to fight about jersey sales years ago, or merchandise sales. And the NFL is brilliant in merchandising. It cuts across, every demographic. They do a great job of selling to females as well. But the NFL several years ago figured out, you know what, we want to do merchandising. We want to do it different. We want it to be sort of pop culture stuff. They hired the then president of MTV to run the merchandising business. But the merchandising money is pooled collectively. So you go and buy a Harrison Butker shirt or a Patrick Mahomes shirt or a Dak Prescott shirt. That money doesn't go to that particular player. The merchandise is pooled together, and then it's dispersed to the teams evenly. So the players, he's not, whatever the shirt costs, you're not sending money to him if you're advocating his cause or whatever you think he was doing at this commencement address. Now, if you just say, look, I want to wear the shirt, that's cool. But just understand that it doesn't quite work economically the way people think. So that money is dispersed evenly. So this is a complaint Jerry Jones had, and a pretty good one for years. And he said, well, this sucks because we sell more Cowboy stuff than the Bengals do. Why are we having to share this money? He ended up losing the argument, but that's the way that business runs. So there's that part of it, which is bizarre but interesting. Like I said, if he played for the Chiefs, would the stuff sell at the same clip? If he played for another team, I would say probably not. Okay, then there's the other side of this. The petitions. 200,000, I think it's up to 200,000 signatures. And that's ridiculous. To get him fired? Do you think the Chiefs care? That is absolutely ridiculous. Do you have a right to go and sign your name to anything you want? Of course you do. That's ridiculous. That's absurd. Which one of all these things going on is the dumbest of all? And this one's up there pretty high, that you're going to sign something online, and for some reason the Kansas City Chiefs are going to let go of a guy who's made 90% of his field goals because you and I don't like what he said. He's good at his job. Period. He's in the production business. Period. At the same time, It's nauseating to hear people falling all over themselves trying to ignore what he really meant in his commencement speech. This is the part that I think people have to tackle. And I think if you're a parent, it probably should resonate more with you. But the idea that someone's going to get this guy fired, that me or anyone else or anyone signing a piece of paper is going to get him fired, no, it won't happen, and nor should it. Nor should it. It doesn't, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter for conversation purposes, but it doesn't matter for his job with the Kansas City Chiefs. Over the weekend, Patrick Mahomes, of course, was asked about this. He's now the face of the NFL for good reason. And he said, I never talked to the guy. I have no idea. I don't care. In other words, he didn't say, I don't care what he said. He said, I'm bothered by it, but I don't talk to the guy. He said, we sit, in fact, I think he said, we sit next to each other in team meetings. And he said, we never say two words. He does his thing and I do mine. So the Chiefs are going to take that position. I'm trying to think if there's anything an NFL player could say that would cost them their job if they're super productive. Remember, the NFL is made up of probably on any roster 45 to close to 50 guys. You have no idea who they are. And they're interchangeable parts. The average career is about 3.5 years. So most fans know Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and now Harrison Butker, but they are outliers on a roster. There's high turnover. So I don't know what a guy could say that would get him fired, particularly if they're a superstar doing what he's doing. Got it? Now, the part about people falling all over themselves to try to ignore what he really meant in his commencement speech is nauseating. It's nauseating. I say that as a parent. First of all, he's not some Catholic scholar. I'm not denying that he believes in his faith. That's unfair, and no one should say that. But in fact, the sisters of the school released a statement from the school condemning his speech. His speech, let's fight about it. His speech wasn't pro-mom or pro-parent. It was straight from a Fox News talking point. Come on. Stop trying so hard to make it something that it wasn't. He went after COVID. He went after lockdowns. He went after vaccines. He did the standard thing of media. Euthanasia, why, I don't know, but he did. Homosexuality in the current administration, of course. This wasn't cheerleading for women or parents. It was a mix, it was a mashup of Fox News talking points. Don't yell at me, is that the right? Of course he has the right. Of course. I mean, it was a culture war speech hiding behind a commencement address. That's what it was. I mean, it really was. It's stupid to try to get him fired. Okay? That's just stupid. That's wrong. I don't know how or why the guy should lose his job over this, and I don't think there's any chance that he would. Now, if he snap hooks about 3 or 4 field goals, it might take him a few more than that to lose his job. That might happen. But because I find it offensive as a parent that he said something like that, a lecture to somebody's daughter about being a homemaker, doesn't change the fact that he makes 90% of his field goals. So the fact that people want to get him fired or trying to sign something to get him fired, I don't know what world that is, but that is as dumb, if not dumber, than the people hijacking the speech. And what hijacking the speech is trying to rearrange it to make it something that it really wasn't. Look, as a parent, I'm offended. As a parent, I'm offended. As a parent of a girl, I'm disgusted. Him calling parenting a vocation, and that's where I don't understand why more people aren't stepping back. Again, I think you want to hijack it. I think you want it to be something that I'm not quite sure it is. Saying parenting is a vocation is awful. I mean, him making parenting only about women is offensive. That's offensive to parents, men and women who try really hard. And that includes fathers. That's offensive to be left out of the parenting equation. That's offensive, I think. I don't really hear that discussion that often. I think it's been hijacked. I think it's been hijacked to only be about women. But I think missing in all this is that parenting's a vocation. Parenting's just about moms. Really? It is? That's terrible. What a terrible attitude. What a terrible thing to let sink in. No, it's not just about moms. It wasn't only the address itself and all the people fighting about it now, the people buying the jerseys, the signatures, and how this thing is blown up again. I don't know that it's all bad that it's blown up. I think he's perfectly fine with it, and he's going to roll just fine with it and probably have another good season with it. I'm not denying any of that, but it wasn't only misogyny. It was really terrible advice that goes against the very thing parents try to do. Has anybody thought that through? If you listen to it and you think of yourself as a parent, and he was trying to deliver it as I believe he's a parent himself, but it's really terrible advice that does go against everything you try to do as a parent, and that is raise our kids to be decent, responsible humans. They keep saying women have been lied to. Really? What's the lie? What? I mean, what's the terrible advice they've been given? Since when is it terrible advice to have marketable skills? That's exactly what we're trying to do as parents. That's exactly what we all should have. We all have an obligation to have marketable skills. An obligation. I didn't just say it's nice and we sure want it. No, that's an obligation. I'm not saying you have to get rich. But man, don't take a pass. Male or female, young or old, don't take a pass. That's going to end badly. That's exactly what we teach our kids, male or female. I mean, to not be dependent, isn't that what we try to do as parents? Isn't that pretty sensible advice to not have to depend on someone? Since when is that a bad idea? Since when is being dependent on someone else a good idea? Who gives that advice? Is that advice any one of us want to give our daughters, or, ready for it, I know this is hard, or our sons? Really? Check out? Not have marketable skills? Be dependent? Tell me, a parent, do you think that's good advice? That's terrifying advice. That doesn't end well as advice. It doesn't. That's not advice anyone should follow, male or female. The worst lie, if he's talking about lies, and I hear this constant debate about this lie, and as a parent of a daughter, it really resonates. The biggest lie is that someone will take care of you. Make sure you're dependent. That's a terrible lie. That's sinister, actually. And you know what? It doesn't end well, does it? It doesn't. Is that really the advice you want to give some young people going out in the world? Well, make sure you're dependent. That's going to end well. I mean, how practical is this advice, by the way, coming from an NFL player? And I'm surprised more people don't react this way. Listen, when you've got enough money to check out, good luck to you. Congratulations. But I don't know many people that do, and certainly not a lot of young people, and certainly it's not a lesson we want to teach our kids, is that don't worry about it. You'll have enough money. You'll connect with someone. You'll get married to someone. You'll date someone with enough money you can check out. That is really bad advice. Any parent, I think, would agree. But how practical is all of this? Coming from someone, I think his deal's like $3.5 million a year, as well as it should be. I mean, look, I have no problem with that. He's worth it. But I mean, how practical is the advice? Okay, the advice coming from an NFL player, pulling in $3 million a year. I think he's got a few years left on his contract too. He's earned it, no doubt. But to tell anyone to get out of the workforce to depend on someone else. I mean, does that really resonate with the average person? Average 21-year-old or average 15-year-old or average 70-year-old for that matter? Having marketable skills isn't just a good thing. Using them isn't just a good thing. It's an obligation. Parents working is a good thing. That's life. Who has otherwise? That's life. Saying otherwise is not only, I think, dangerous, it's a terrible lie. That's a terrible lie. You're going to get to take a pass? Going to get to check out? Really? How often? How many people can say, I guess I'll check out? Male or female? Again. I mean, he didn't talk about parenting. He talked about motherhood. He never mentioned fatherhood. I don't know how many dads would even listen to this or hear the debate about it. I hear the debate about it and I'm offended by that. Wait a second. You act like dads don't do anything? Really? That's offensive. That's offensive. I mean, wherever you are, whatever the age, however old the kids are. He talked about motherhood, never mentioned fatherhood that I know of. He signaled out women. He told women the most important vocation is being a mom. So let that sink in. That's a vocation. Vocation. A job. Is there a salary attached to that job? Why signal out women and parenting? Why doesn't that include dads in his address? Why isn't his address about encouraging both parents to be the best, to do the best you can, which most people do? Like both of his working parents, including one of whom, his mom, is a cancer researcher. Yeah. Sounds like she did a pretty decent job. I guess she tried really hard. How's that bad? It isn't a job. It's not a job. It's not a job. You don't put a price to it. I mean, separating it from a vocation, even lumping it in as a vocation, is offensive as a parent. And that's the discussion we're having now. Ooh, that job. What do you mean that job? It's what we do. It's what we signed up to do. There's no price tag to it. That's offensive. And people are now, I don't even know that I'd blame him so much for that. He used the terminology, but people now have hijacked that or debating about it. I don't even like hearing the terms that way. Why would any parent want to hear it phrased that way? So everyone who busts their ass to be a good parent, okay, which is most people, no one can do it perfectly. It is over the top difficult. We all know that. This is sexist and a blind way at looking at raising kids. It's blind. Congratulations, bud. You got 4 million. Way to go. Nobody else has that. He can say what he wants, of course, and I give him the benefit, of course, I think people should, give him the benefit of trusting that he's committed to his faith. But it's lame for everyone, and I think he set it up this way. I don't think any of this was accidental. I don't. I'm sorry. But it's lame to hijack the speech as some sort of righteous advice for women. I think that's lame. I don't find where it's righteous advice at all. His address isn't practical. It's not reasonable. He's rich and has a great job. I assume the guy isn't seeking political office, but you know what? Right now, this wasn't a moral compass pep talk for parents. It was a culture war script with all the other stuff littered in there. COVID, Biden, all that other stuff came in there. It was a culture war script full of talking points. It was. It wasn't just about moms and parenting. It included COVID. It included vaccines. It included media. It included administration. It was full of talking points. Full of talking points. I mean, I think people are numb to that because we hear it so much, but the parenting part, that's what should stand out. The parenting part. I haven't heard anybody say at any point, you know what, I'm a dad, or I'm trying hard, I'm raising kids, and I've been trying to raise kids, or I'm raising a daughter, and I'm highly offended I've been left out of this discussion, not just by him, but by everybody talking about the commencement address.